Because of its great distance from the Sun, Pluto takes its name from the Roman god of the underworld. At its closest, Pluto is 2.7 billion miles from Earth. Its diameter is 1,485 miles, half the width of the United States. It takes 248 Earth years for Pluto to orbit the Sun. And a day on the planet is equivalent to about 6.5 Earth days. A 150-pound Earthling would weigh only 10 pounds on Pluto. It's a testament to modern technology that we know anything at all about the surface of Pluto.
We can hardly see this thing. Even with the Hubble Space Telescope, we get maybe 4 pixels across, maybe 12 pixels total. But even with that, we see that parts of Pluto are as dark as coal and parts of Pluto are as bright as snow.
Even from afar, scientists can measure the composition of the planet. They believe that the bright areas of the surface are made up of 3 types of ice.
Well, one is carbon monoxide, one is methane, which is the same as natural gas. And then the third is nitrogen, the same stuff that we have breathing here in our atmosphere.
The dark areas are probably solid rock.
The darker areas are almost certainly silicates of some sort. Silicates not unlike the rocks that we see here. That means there's silicon in them and there's oxygen in them. We're up here in Rocky Mountain National Park in Colorado. There's some snow around, there's some rocks around. This is similar to what we're going to see on the surface of Pluto.
A traveler to Pluto would find that despite the snowy surface, it is a very dim place.
About 30 or 40 times further away from the Sun than the Earth is. This means that the sunlight hitting the surface of Pluto is about 1,000 times fainter than it is on the Earth. It's maybe about the same brightness as being outside under a dim street light at night. You could probably, you could take a book, you could probably read it there. Take a headlamp though, take a flashlight, it'd help out.
Its distance from the Sun also makes Pluto one of the coldest places in the solar system, with a bone-chilling average temperature of minus 388 degrees Fahrenheit. And because of its small size and low density, gravity on Pluto's surface is far weaker than on Earth.
Now, some things are going to be a little easier to do on Pluto if you're really into rock climbing. I'm doing some vertical climbing here. Well, it's always exciting, but gravity is always the challenge.
Pluto's gravity is roughly 1/15 of the Earth's.
It's not like if you're standing on the surface, you would float away. Now, if you fell off that face when you were climbing up Pluto, you'd still want to have your rope there. You'd still accelerate down to the surface. So don't leave the rope at home.
Scientists would love to chip away at the surface of Pluto because hidden within its rocks is a whole missing chapter in the history of our solar system.
Pluto's a great planet. I mean, it's what I think is really great about it. It's sort of the ultimate time machine in our solar system. It really shows us what the environment of the solar system was like 4.5 billion years ago when it's formed. The surface there is much more ancient than you're going to find almost anywhere else in the solar system. And if you're looking for rock on the Earth has been around for that same time period, 4.5 billion years or so. But if you're looking for rock that's that old on the Earth, you're not going to find it. And that's because the Earth is sort of constantly recycling its material. You have plate tectonics going on that sucks all this material back into the mantle. You have volcanism going on that pumps out new material and processes the surface. So it's really a much younger surface on the Earth compared with the ancient surface that we're going to see on Pluto. The rocks that we're sitting on here have been processed by the high pressures in the Earth. On Pluto, it's more primitive.
Primitive, but far from pristine. Pluto is likely riddled with impact craters.
Impact craters are caused by asteroids or meteoroids impacting the surface. These are essentially pieces of the solar system that were never made into a planet. Out of the surface of Pluto, you don't have an atmosphere, you don't have glaciers, you don't have winds, you don't have rain, you don't have erosion. And so the one dominant feature that you see on the surface is probably going to be a lot of impact craters.
Pluto's pockmarked surface undergoes a transformation as it orbits near the Sun. Under the additional heat, some of the frozen gases evaporate to form a temporary atmosphere. As Pluto recedes from the Sun, the gases freeze again and fall back down to the surface. For more than 75 years, this far-out icy object staked its claim as our 9th planet. So why is this little piece of snowy rock now causing such controversy? Why was Pluto kicked out of the solar system's most exclusive club? It's a quiet office at the Caltech campus in Pasadena, California. And it was from here that Pluto's demise as a planet began. But astronomer Mike Brown was never looking to destroy a planet. Equipped with Palomar Observatory's 48-inch telescope, he was seeking out Pluto-sized worlds at the far reaches of our solar system. And in 2005, he found one, an object bigger than Pluto, with its own moon, both orbiting the Sun.
When I first found this thing that's bigger than Pluto, I was looking through the images that the telescope had taken just before, and I found it in the screen. And did a very quick calculation, realized it was bigger than Pluto. And the very first thing I did was picked up the phone and called my wife and told her I just found a planet.
Indeed, if Pluto was a planet, and for more than 70 years it had been, then why wouldn't Brown's new world be considered a planet too?
I thought it was the 10th planet. For a long time, that's how I described it. It was a planet, and so I definitely felt like I had found the 10th planet. It's 5% bigger than Pluto. It's probably made out of the same materials on the inside, rock on the inside, ice on the outside, and a little thin layer of frost on the very outside that sometimes puffs up into an atmosphere and sometimes doesn't. Very similar to Pluto in that way. It has a moon that goes around it once every 16, 17 days. Pluto has a moon also, so it's, in many ways, I like to think of it as almost as twins. This is just the twin that just ate a little bit more when it was a baby, got a little bigger.
Brown considered naming his object Xena after TV's warrior princess, but eventually the name chosen was Eris, after the Greek goddess of discord. As it turned out, this name was entirely appropriate. The discovery kicked off a firestorm in the astronomical community. Now, the very definition of a planet was being hotly debated. Would Eris officially become our 10th planet? Or would Pluto-sized objects be reevaluated as a whole? The argument was brought to the table in a 2006 meeting of the International Astronomical Union in Prague. A vote was taken, and the term planet was defined scientifically for the first time. 250-pound Earthling would weigh only 10 pounds on Pluto. It's a testament to modern technology that we know anything at all about the surface of Pluto. Because of its great distance from the Sun, Pluto takes its name from the Roman god of the underworld. At its closest, Pluto is 2.7 billion miles from Earth. Its diameter is 1,485 miles, half the width of the United States. It takes 248 Earth years for Pluto to orbit the Sun. And a day on the planet is equivalent to about 6.5 Earth days. Even from afar, scientists can measure the composition of the planet. They believe that the bright areas of the surface are made up of 3 types of ice.
Well, one is carbon monoxide, one is methane, which is the same as natural gas. And then the third is nitrogen, the same. We can hardly see this thing. Even with the Hubble Space Telescope, we get maybe 4 pixels across, maybe 12 pixels total. But even with that, we see that parts of Pluto are as dark as coal and parts of Pluto are as bright as snow.